What's up, everybody? I am Destiny Gilliam, the owner and the founder of the Creative Reading Coach, and you know we specialize in creating the most simplified tools to teach your baby how to read. Today's video is all about something that's near and dear to my heart because I too used to be a teacher, and I was so notorious for telling parents to say, hey, just read at home, not realizing that that is a big frustration for you guys. It almost turns into like a chore where you're like, if I could just get them to read, then I've done my job for the day. However, on the flip side, you don't know if they're really reading, you don't know if they're really understanding it, and you really don't know what the book is about yourself because you have not read the book. So today's video is all about the 9 questions that you can ask any child dealing with a fiction book to make sure they have really read. I'm also going to throw in one of my secrets that will help you understand how they're reading words too, okay? Before we get started, remember that if you are interested in finding any type of support when it comes to your child and reading strategies, you can always click the link in the description box where you'll be able to book a consultation. So let's get started. So, first thing first, yes, mama, it's a chore. I know. Because right now it doesn't feel too natural. It doesn't feel too organic, okay? But we want their reading to feel natural, authentic, organic. We want them to go pick up a book and read it and feel good about it. The reason that's not happening right now, Mom, is because you're making it feel like something. Exactly how you feel on the inside is how you're giving it to them. So it's almost like I'm gonna read this book so my mama won't ask me a question. I'm gonna read this book so my mama don't yell. Okay? So how do we get it to be authentic, organic, and natural? What we need you to do is I need you to let them, number one, choose the books that they like to read, okay? As you can see, my son is in the background, and I allow him to really pick the books that he wants to read or that he can read, okay? The reason that's so important is because if he has choice and if he likes the book, then he's more prone to talk about that book. You can't expect the child to talk about a book that they don't like. The tricky part is that you have to be aware of the books that are on their level, okay? So that doesn't mean like, hey, you can't read that book because that's not on your level. No, mama still get that book because he can't read books out loud to himself by himself, but I still let him pick that book up and I read it to him. So the trick is to let them get books that they enjoy, that they have some type of interest in, and let them come to you about it, all right? Now, for older readers, make sure it's books that are within their level so that they are able to read it independently, and then we can work on those questions that we're about to ask, okay? So that's step number 1. Step number 2, you actually have to set the tone. Mama, you can't just say, go read your book, and when you're done, I'm going to ask you some questions. That sounds like a chore. Like, would you want to do that? I wouldn't want to do that. You know, it's like, it sends the message that the whole purpose for reading is to answer questions, and it's not. Think about your day-to-day life. You read for information. You read to get ideas. You read to get directions. You read to connect with other people throughout the world, right? So why are we making this whole big deal about them being able to read to answer some questions, okay? So that's that. Let's change our tone and perspective. What I would suggest is that when they're reading, you get a book and read, okay? I will also suggest the book that they're interested in, you pick it up and you read it first. That is a huge thing because if you read it first, when they're having this conversation with you, then it's easier to tell, number one, if they're telling the truth. You can tell if they really enjoyed it, and you can also tell if this was a book that you can find other books just like that for them, okay? So let's recap. Make sure it's authentic by book choice. Make sure that I lost my train of thought that fast. Make sure it's something, oh my gosh, I lost it that fast. Make sure it's something, it'll come back to me. We'll come back to that. I hope you caught it up with me, all right? Oh, I got it. Make sure you set the tone for them, okay? So now, what are the 9 questions that you can ask? Now, I want to be clear about this. These questions are specifically for a fiction book. I'll do another video pertaining to nonfiction. The reason I'm making such a huge distinction between the two is because the strategies and questions that I can ask for a book that has real valuable information are not going to be the same questions that I'm going to ask about a fiction story, because there's some different, the way the author wrote it is different, the different type of information that's going to come through would not always lend to this set of questions. Okay, question number 1, we're going to keep it back basic. Who are the characters? All right, who are the characters? You can have them list them all, or you can say who are the main characters. If you want to get funky with it, you can do like a little T-chart and say who are the main characters, who are the supporting characters. Okay, the next question you can ask, where did the characters go throughout the text? What is this addressing? It is addressing the setting of the story. Instead of you saying, what's the setting of the story? Describe the setting. No, tell me where the characters went. Because that lends to a more authentic conversation than the setting was pretty, it was hills in the back, and they rode down the hill. Like, nobody wants to do that, okay? Question number 3, what problem did the characters have? Now you're getting somewhere, okay? What problems did the characters have? And then that lends itself to be able to tell you, how did they solve that problem, all right? Another question you can ask is, who helped solve this problem? The reason why you want to know about who helped solve the problem, because that lets you know about if they were able to actually internalize what the problem was and how that problem was actually solved. Okay? Oh, I like this one. What lesson did those characters learn at the end? You see how these questions are building on top of each other? I'm not just asking random things. And I love how I can use these questions for any text, okay? um who told the story? This is tricky. This is very, very tricky, because when you think about it, sometimes a character may be telling this story from their perspective, and then sometimes there is a narrator that's outside of the storyline. Okay, the reason it's so important for them to understand who's telling the story as they get in older grades is because depending on who tells the story, like in real life, is going to determine how those events are being told. Okay, to start out with, like for even my son, we could just say, hey, who's talking in the story? Who's sharing their ideas? You know, it could be something as simple as that. Okay, what do you think will happen next and why? And that lets you know that's a higher level thinking question, because they have to look at what happened in the story and then think about, oh, that's probably going to happen because of this. Isn't that cool? What words would you use to describe the characters and why? Notice that I am solely focused on the characters because they make up the story. All right. So what I want you to do, I want you to pause this video, write those questions down so you can have them tucked away somewhere when you're going home and building these authentic relationships with books. Okay. Now, here is the best way to make this work. Number 1, do not type these questions up and give them on a piece of paper and say, answer these questions. Don't do that. Especially for a struggling reader, because 9 times out of 10, they don't like to write. And if they don't like to write, they're not going to see the connection of these questions, okay? Number 2, as I shared earlier, make sure that you're reading the text ahead of time, okay? Number 3 or 4, can't remember where I'm at. Make sure you're not asking yes and no questions. The reason why yes and no questions are so bad is because it doesn't require any thinking, and it doesn't require them to be able to say, I found this in the text, I believe this because, which is so important, because believe it or not, guys, that's the foundation for them having that strong college prep writing that we want to see them have in college and higher grades. We don't just start learning how to write in college. We start now. These are the habits that we build now. Okay? The other thing that I suggest is make sure that this is something that you enjoy. All right? Make sure it's something that you enjoy. Even if you pick one book and you say, I'm only going to ask them a couple of questions on Monday, and then on Tuesday they're just going to read it aloud to me, and then on Wednesday I'm going to have them read it aloud to me, and I'm going to ask these questions right here. But make it authentic, make it something where it's not like a punishment. Okay, now here's my bonus tip. Okay, my bonus tip. You can get 2 copies of the same book, have them read it aloud. As they read it aloud, I want you to mark the words that they miss. Okay? You don't have to tell them at this point. Once you mark those words, do a quick analysis of the words that they missed. Are they missing mostly sight words? Are they missing mostly names? Are they missing mostly words that have the BR in it? Like, what pattern do you notice? And here is the honest to goodness truth. There is no right or wrong answer. The only answer are the words that they miss. What do you notice? What do they all have in common? Okay, so this was just a quick video to let you know that guess what? Reading at home can be authentic. It can be organic. You can ask these same questions over and over, and you can do it with a fiction text. And if you want to see a glimpse into how they're reading words, have them read it out loud to you, mark up the words, and notice the patterns that they have. Remember, I'm Destiny Gilliam. I provide specialized, simplified tools to make reading easier for your little one. Make sure to click the link in the description box to schedule a consultation. We would love to work with you. Have a good one. Peace. Oh, I forgot something else. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And there's like a little bell that will let you know when I post new videos. And more importantly, if there is a mama who can benefit from this video, share it with them. Now I'm really gone. Peace.